Hello again, friends, and welcome back to Suzanne Elizabeth's Kitchen. Today we're going to be making pork carnitas in a slow cooker, but first we're going to decant some wine. So here is my little wine decanter, and here is a very nice 2010 Bordeaux, and that's my latest favorite wine. And as you can see, all I'm doing is I have a little funnel. It's a funnel. And I haven't had any wine yet. I know you might wonder, since I had a brain freeze there. And I'm just pouring the bottle of wine into the decanter, and that is going to allow the wine to breathe. Just breathe, and that is supposedly going to bring out all the flavors of the wine. So that's what we're doing. We've got this little wine here, we've got it decanted, and I will wait until the end of our demonstration to fill my glass because I'm going to allow the wine to breathe. It's breathing. Breathing wine. Empty glass. So, on to the pork carnitas. In my last video, I mentioned that one of my New Year's resolutions was that I was going to cook smaller proportions because, quite honestly, at the end of last year, I had a freezer full of food, frozen food, that I had prepared, nothing processed because we don't do processed food here. And it was just, you know, soup, meat, things that had been there for 6 months. And so I just cleared it all out, and I felt so guilty wasting all that good food and throwing out that food, and but I couldn't, you know, I just wasn't eating it. So I vowed that my New Year's resolution was going to be to cook smaller portions that I could eat that day, maybe one more day extra if I was taking something to lunch, you know, lunch the next day. And that's it. No more stuffing the freezer with leftovers, because this way you're going to encourage yourself to cook fresh more often, and that's what I want to encourage you to do. So with that in mind, pork carnitas are usually made with a pork shoulder, and sometimes they call it a butt cut or a picnic cut, and usually they're 4 or 5 pounds. I mean, it's just a monstrous piece of pork, and I don't know what you would do with it unless you had a large family, which obviously I don't. I have large dogs, but no large family. And speaking of dogs, let's just say hello to Henry. Henry! There's Henry. And let's see if you can say hello to George. There's George and Coco. Hello, George and Coco. And here I am. So, here we are. So anyways, I went to the thrift store. I went to the supermarket and the meat department, and they had these bone-in picnic style ribs, I think they're called, pork. Now look at that. It's, you know, it's that same cut, but now we've just got 3 pieces. So maybe the butcher was reading my mind, because this is much more manageable. You know, there's just 3 ribs. Now, let me show you what we're going to do. First of all, I should back up here. I brought the ribs home, and I used a dry rub. This is Schultz's, and it says, no, all natural ingredients, no preservatives, kosher salt, cane sugar, no MSG or artificial colors. So that passes my test. So it's a dry rub, and I just put the ribs in a plastic bag, put some of the dry rub in there, and I literally left it in the refrigerator for, it's been 24, 36 hours, so it's been quite a while. I really wanted the the meat to be permeated with those lovely dry rub flavors. And it's sugar and some garlic and some spice. Let's see what else they say they've got in here. Do they even tell you? Maybe it's a company secret or something. Yeah, kosher salt, spices. You know, what does that mean? Paprika, garlic, onions, and turmeric. Well, turmeric is very good for you, so I approve of this. All right, so let me show you. Let's get on with this. Now, the point of this exercise is using a slow cooker is so convenient because you can literally do this in the morning before you go to work and then set it and forget it and come home to a wonderful dinner. So I've got my smaller slow cooker out, crock pot, and if you don't have one, buy one. Run to Target or Walmart or Sears or Penny's or whatever is your favorite store. Go on Amazon.com and order one. This literally costs $15, and you will find it is absolutely indispensable. You'll use it for everything, making soups, meats, stews. It's fabulous. You really need to have one. Whoops. Okay, so back to our meal. So here's my empty crock pot. I feel like I'm doing a magic trick. And what I'm done here is sliced up some onions, just plain old yellow onions, and I'm going to throw them in the bottom of my crock pot. So I'm creating like a little bed of onions for my pork to sit on. And I actually cut up 2 onions, but I don't want to go crazy with the onions. And then I have these cloves of garlic. Let's see, 3, 6, 9 cloves, whole cloves of garlic. Just going to throw those in there. And then, now I'm going to do something. Let's see here. How will this go? As usual, I have Mom's good old-fashioned frozen chicken stock. And you can use the stuff that comes in a box. That's fine. I just happen to have Mom's homemade chicken stock. So I'm going to throw that in there, and that will eventually melt down. And I'm going to put my ribs in here. And I just want you to see how easy this is. I mean, really, we're just going to throw this stuff in here, and it's all going to be good. Now, as far as seasonings go, and actually I'm going to go ahead and turn this on while we're talking so that this can go, the chicken stock can start to melt. And as you can see, we just have it's already a party going on there. Look at that. Now, what I was thinking of for the pork carnitas is I've got the dry rub on, but I was thinking of something along the lines of the Cuban style of pork that is so fantastic. And I didn't have any orange juice because that's what you could put in there, some orange juice. And so I've got this little bit, these little clementines that were just really kind of, I don't know if this is going to work or not. Yeah, it's kind of working. I'm just squeezing them so I get the juice in there, and that's going to go in there and add kind of a nice flavor. And I'm just thinking out loud as I talk to you. I might add a little bit of, maybe just a little bit of vinegar. Just a little bit. Apple cider vinegar I think would be very good. But the orange juice is going to add a very nice, it's going to mix very well, and I'm really just making, I mean, literally the orange juice is flying everywhere here, which is okay. You know, it's a kitchen. There's tile on the floor, which is very easy to mop up, which is what I'm going to do after this demonstration. So we've got orange juice in there. That's going to add some nice flavor. I think I'm going to get my apple cider vinegar. So 1 second. Apple cider vinegar, I think it's going to be very nice. And don't be afraid when you see the size of this bottle. You know, they just sell it in the largest containers. And so that was probably, what, 1 or 2 tablespoons? That's good. Now, salt. Just a good pinch, because we do have that dry rub on there. But since we're going to have so much liquid, and then pepper, of course. Pepper, you've got to have pepper. Since you have the dry rub, you're already going to have quite a bit of salt. And I was going to say you'd have quite a bit of salt from your chicken stock, except I know that my mother makes very low sodium chicken stock. So a nice healthy pinch of red pepper flakes. And I just had another brilliant idea. How about some jalapeno peppers? Just a few, you know, look, just 2 little, maybe 3 little rings, maybe 4. 4 I think would be good. That's good. See? Just 4 little slices. Now that you've stuck your fingers in there, do not touch your eyes or your mouth. Wash your hands. Like me. I'm washing my hands. Okay, now I want to add some cilantro. And this is dried cilantro. And at the end, I'm going to add some fresh cilantro. And of course, the question is not, can we add nutmeg? The answer is always yes. The question is, should we add nutmeg? And the answer is yes, of course, why not? So that goes in there, and then I think we're good to go. I think that's it. I think we're done here. Now, what you're going to do is, I have it on high right now, and I'm going to leave it on high for an hour. And as you can see, the top won't even fit. I'm going to leave it on high for an hour until my chicken stock, you know, melts and creates a liquid for the pork to cook in. And then I'm going to put it on low, and I'm going to cook it for, because I only have 3, you know, really large, meaty, and there are bones in there, so I always love to cook meat with a bone in, because I think it just adds more flavor. I'm going to let it go probably 4 hours and check on it on low. And I think that you get a better, a more tender meat when you cook it on low. Low and slow, as they say. I think you just get, the result is better. So, and I want the pork to, it's going to literally shred. Then, for pork carnitas, if you want it to be nice and crispy, then what I would do is take the pork, put it on a baking sheet, and shred it. Put a little bit of oil, just a little bit of oil on it, and stick it under the broiler and keep an eye on it, and just let it get nice and crispy under the broiler. Alternatively, you could also just put it into, if you have a nice cast iron skillet, put it under the cast iron skillet, into the cast iron skillet with a little bit of oil, and let it crisp up on your stovetop. So it's literally your choice. So there you go. That's it. That's how easy pork carnitas are. And I think my wine has decanted long enough. It's been 14 minutes, which, you know, we're not talking a terribly expensive vintage here. So, cheers to you. Cheers to pork carnitas. And decant your wine. Get your slow cooker out. Cook just enough to serve your family for that day, and so that way you're always cooking fresh meals for your family. Enjoy your meals. Enjoy cooking. And I'll see you again next time at Suzanne Elizabeth's Kitchen. All the best.